Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, normally recorded in our studio at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre, currently recorded from our volunteers' homes. To keep in touch with us, use our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, which are all at Q and Review. That's CUEANDREVIEW. Or get in touch via information@qandreview.com. That's information@CUEANDREVIEW.com. Please like and share our podcasts and give us any constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, February 15. Ronald de Boer insists Rangers can cause upset. Report by James Kearney. Rangers legend Ronald de Boer insists his old club can cause a Europa League upset by dumping Borussia Dortmund out of the competition. The Premiership champions make the trip to Germany to face the Bundesliga giants for the first leg of their knockout tie, before hosting them for the reverse fixture a week later. A spot in the last 16 of Europe's secondary club competition is up for grabs, and Rangers have been boosted by the news that Norwegian superstar Erling Haaland is an injury doubt. But with manager Marco Rose able to call on the likes of Gio Reyna, Jude Bellingham and Marco Reus, the task facing Giovanni van Bronckhorst and his players is sizable. De Boer, though, believes the Ibrox club have a real chance of defeating Dortmund over 2 legs, but warned that the Germans have been finding their feet as the campaign has progressed after a slow start. I think Rangers will have a chance of causing an upset, De Boer told the Scottish Sun. Of course, Dortmund will be favourites as, behind Bayern Munich, they are the top team in Germany. They didn't have a great start to the season, but they have steadily improved. They also have a Dutch player, Donyell Malen, whom I have seen play a lot, and he has continued to get better and better. It is a team with a lot of great players, but Rangers will still have a chance to go through. I think it will be a very tight fixture, and I'm looking forward to it. Report by James Kearney. Evening Times Sport, February 15. Beer, guts and glory as party sways at Phoenix Open, reveals Nick Rodger. Well, that's another of life's annual little ceremonies over. I am, of course, talking about Valentine's Day, that panic-stricken date on the calendar, which leads to bumbling men like myself making blundering half-baked romantic gestures that can be as painfully awkward as Captain Hook attempting to apply some ointment to an area of wincing sensitivity. Of course, true love is so uncontrollably delightful, there's no need to set aside a mere day in its honour. Well, that's what my darling wife muttered with a sigh, as I presented her with a bouquet of prunings from a weeping willow. Over at the golf, in the good old US of A at the weekend, meanwhile, it wasn't love that was in the air, rather beer cans, bottles, and anything else you could get your hands on. When Sam Ryder made a hole-in-one in the Phoenix Open on the infamous par 3 16th known as the Coliseum, the green was showered in more boozy debris than the Hampden pitch during the 1980 Scottish Cup final riot, as revellers in the stands worked themselves into a whooping, hollering, high-fiving frenzy. It was a good job the event was sponsored by Waste Management. I half expected to see my discarded Valentine's bouquet amid the detritus. This Phoenix showpiece, of course, is infamous for its vast boisterous crowds. 200,000 barged their way through the gates on the Saturday, while that 16th hole, completely enclosed by grandstands, generates a raucous atmosphere as players are cheered, jeered and goaded by a drink-fueled baying mob. By the end of a long day in the Arizona heat, the place must reek like Noah's Ark. Things got even more lively on Sunday, when Harry Higgs and Joel Damon both ripped their shirts off and paraded around the green in an orgy of shirt-twirling exuberance, as yet more bottles and cans thundered down. That nobody, players, caddies, officials, marshals, caught a real sore one was something of a miracle amid the tsunami of trash, although Mexico's Carlos Ortiz did say that he was nailed pretty hard with a beer can after he'd made an ace during the closing round. If that had happened in any other sporting arena, there would be uproar and questions in Parliament. For some of golf's more traditional tut-tutting observers, the scenes of partial nudity and the general frat party mankiness led to such high levels of prudery it was akin to some prissy Victorian patriarch spluttering his derision at his wife after she had the indecency to remove her bonnet during a boating trip on the Serpentine. For others, the unbridled chaos would appeal to a wider, younger market, and was a shot in the arm for a game that is still hamstrung by the perception that it's stuffier than a taxidermist with a blocked nose. I'm not sure of the sight of Harry Higgs' wobbling belly will grow the game and encourage folk to try golf, but hey, what do I know? Polarised opinions on the weekend spectacle are everywhere, and the debate will continue. It's good to talk. As for your correspondent, well, I'll gladly admit that crowds simply annoy me as their boozy, gurgling, hark-at-me exhibitionism drags various sporting occasions and other events and performances into the murky realms of half-wittery and beyond. Saying that, I'm not going to lose any sleep over what is, by and large, a rare golfing rammy. It's only one hole at one event. If folk find enjoyment in that kind of revelry, then fair enough. As Peter Alice may have remarked with a wry whisper, there will be a few villages missing their idiots today. Back in 1870, when young Tom Morris was something of a superstar, the Open attracted a vociferous gathering of spectators who were, according to the newspapers of the time, clearly completely new to the sport and decidedly unruly in most part. Perhaps things weren't better in the good old days after all. The Phoenix Open and its 16th hole has built a reputation down the years for being a week which sees golf burst out of its straitjacket. Like the Ryder Cup, engagement between players and fans is ramped up. It's a different crowd that tends to go to these affairs, and their involvement is actively encouraged, even if there have been plenty of times, especially at Ryder Cups on United States soil, when the line is crossed with abuse from the galleries. Containing such behaviour to one or two events, then, is just about palatable. But what happens if it goes beyond just one or two events? We live in a mind-boggling age when a professional footballer thinks it's fine to volley his cat across the kitchen and parade it on social media for a laugh. There must be plenty of oddballs out there who wouldn't think twice about lobbing something at a golfer during another regular tour event or even a major championship, especially when emboldened by alcohol. It only takes one. Golf often gets ridiculed for its traditions and values. Those cherished attributes of self-discipline and respect that are at the game's bedrock are qualities that are not necessarily defining traits of this hyperactive modern world of ours. The game lets its hair down at the Phoenix party, but let's hope there's not a lingering hangover, says Nick Rodger. Evening Times Sport, February 15. Postecoglou says Celtic must heed warning. Report by Graham McGarry. Ange Postecoglou says that Bodo Glimt's famous win over Roma should be all the warning Celtic need to realise their UEFA Conference League tie against the Norwegian champions will be anything but straightforward. The Norwegian side have been the surprise package of European football over the past 2 years, winning back-to-back titles and emphatically beating Jose Mourinho's Roma 6-1 in this competition in Bodo in October. Postecoglou has pointed out, though, that Glimt were only denied a double over Mourinho's men by a late equaliser for the hosts at the Olympic Stadium in a 2-2 draw in November, showing that their triumph in Norway was no freak result. Postecoglou said, "People should realise what they did to Roma. They did it in Rome as well. They grabbed my attention back then, before we knew we were going to play them. They have an outstanding manager, and they play an aggressive, expansive style of football. It should be a cracking game. We are in a heavy schedule of games, but at the same time, we are in a good moment. We're in good form. Players are fit. Bodo are similar to us when we go into our Champions League qualifiers, as they are in pre-season mode at the minute. That could potentially work both ways. We have the match sharpness, but they could have a freshness about them. I've got no doubt they will both be cracking games because of the way they play, and we won't change our approach. We are heading to the Arctic Circle, so even the Scottish weather will go out of the window. That's the beauty of European football. For me as a manager, that's what gets the adrenaline pumping. Testing yourselves in different conditions against different teams and different types of setups. Going into the Conference League, we can test ourselves against some great clubs. Bodo Glimt have been Norwegian champions these last 2 years, and they play aggressive, expansive football. I can't wait for it. Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, February 15. Rangers MD delivers emphatic response to finances query. Report by David Irvin. Rangers Managing Director Stuart Robertson has revealed the club is in the best financial position since 2015. Robertson joined Rangers 7 years ago and admitted he entered a broken club after 5 years of upheaval caused when the Ibrox side entered administration 10 years ago. But Robertson has now offered an optimistic forecast for the future, as he explained club finances are well under control. In an interview with Sky Sports, Robertson said, "It is the best position it has been in since 2015. That has taken a lot of hard work and investment from the board and investors. We had to invest in the infrastructure. We had to get the club into a place where we had created an elite environment for the players. If you don't have that environment, you don't attract the players. So it becomes self-fulfilling. To bring the players in required money and investment as well. We have moved the commercial department forward. The supporters have been phenomenal all the way through. Also, getting back into Europe was a key part of that, as the player trading as well. Nathan Patterson's transfer to Everton, that's given us the fourth pillar to our business model. We are now likely to be in a profitable situation this season, and going forward, we will be sustainable. That's very much the business model now. From this season forward, we want to be sustainable. That's the business model that's in place. It has been discussed and signed off by the board. That's my responsibility, to make sure we do all the things to be there. That's what Rangers has to be. We can't go back to the situation we had 10 years ago. That just can't happen at all. We're only here for a short period of time, and our stewardship is really important. I want to make sure when I leave here, which I will do someday, that the club's in much better shape than the day I came in. For Robertson, it's difficult to even compare the club he works at now to what he walked into back in 2015. He said, "It is a completely different entity in terms of how we are structured, in terms of the standards we set, and we try and work to. We are constantly striving to be the best the club we can be and to push on. We won the league last year, but that isn't us stopped. We want to win the league this year and in the future. We want to be in the Champions League. We've got all these ambitions. We want the academy as strong as it can be and producing a regular flow of talent for the first team as well." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, February 15. Rangers Celtic clashes this season will have away supporter allocations. Report by Aidan Smith. Ibrox Managing Director Stuart Robertson has revealed that there will be away allocations at the remaining fixtures between Rangers and Celtic this season. So far this season, the derby clashes have been played in front of just home supporters after a joint decision between both clubs. Celtic were due to receive 700 tickets for away fans to attend the first clash between the big two in August, which finished 1-0 to the Light Blues. However, this was cancelled by the Ibrox outfit, with the match played in front of entirely home supporters. Celtic then followed suit this month, as they defeated their city rivals at a packed-out crowd of home supporters at Parkhead. But now Robertson has revealed that the clubs have reached an agreement over future allocations this season. He told Sky Sports, "There will be away allocations in the next 2 games. Because of the COVID situation we had back in August, the 2 clubs got together and agreed that we wouldn't have away fans. Because we had red zones, we weren't sure what the situation was going to be for that period of time. So there will be away fans for the 2 games remaining." Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, February 16. Former Rangers ace Andy Halliday fearing worst as his old side go up against Borussia. Report by Ewan Payton. A former Rangers fan's favourite admits he is fearing the worst for his old side when they face Borussia Dortmund this week. Giovanni van Bronckhorst's men are in Germany tomorrow for the first leg of their last 32 Europa League tie with the Bundesliga giants. Dortmund are currently second in the league, just 6 points behind leaders Bayern Munich. They will be without superstar striker Erling Haaland for the first leg at least, after boss Marco Rose ruled out the Norwegian with injury. But former Rangers ace and boyhood fan Andy Halliday, is not looking forward to the outcome of the game, admitting Dortmund are really strong favourites. While he doesn't think the Light Blues will be thumped, he recognises that Dortmund will be the favourites to win the tournament come May, and that could reflect on this game. Speaking on open goals, keeping the ball on the ground, Halliday said, "Listen, you're fearing the worst, aren't you? Let's be honest. I don't think Rangers will get embarrassed. I think they'll put on a good showing. But Dortmund have got to be heavy favourites. They probably have to be one of the favourites for the Europa, surely. I did say I thought Rangers would score. German football, there's so many goals in their games all the time. Celtic went to Leverkusen and obviously scored 2. I do fancy Rangers to score, but I don't see them coming away with a result." Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 16. Don't forget your giant yellow toothbrush. The story behind the bizarre fan symbol of Celtic's rivals. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Celtic supporters at Parkhead tomorrow night may be puzzled to see their Bodo Glimt counterparts waving giant yellow toothbrushes in the air during the first leg of the Conference League knockout round play-off. But toothbrushes have been a bizarre symbol of the Salten outfit's fan base for nearly 50 years now, and the Eliteserien champions even have their own range, which is sold across Norway. The oral hygiene tool became an emblem of the Yellow Horde during a North Second Division game at their Aspmyra Stadium in 1975, when one of their number was trying to start a chant. Arnulf Bendixen grew frustrated at their lackluster efforts, so he asked around for a baton to conduct the singing, and a nearby fan passed him a toothbrush which he had in his pocket. A representative of the toothbrush manufacturer Jordan was sitting in the stands at that match, and he arranged for the supporters to receive several large yellow demonstration toothbrushes afterwards. Said Bendixen, "It became a symbol for us supporters. It helped us get in everywhere, and when we were away, it became very important." Jordan launched their Bodo Glimt range of regular-sized toothbrushes back in 2009. They were initially only available in the club shop, but were soon put on sale nationwide. Said Jordan representative Tom Petterson, "We are very proud that the toothbrush has become such a strong symbol for Bodo Glimt, and that it has such a special place in history." Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, February 16. Former Celtic manager Ronnie Deila offers James Sands insight into Old Firm pressure. Report by Chris Jack. Ronnie Deila reckons life in the Old Firm Goldfish Bowl will bring out the best in James Sands as he settles into life in Glasgow. The American completed a move from Delia's New York City to Ibrox last month, as he became Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's first signing as boss. Sands has made 3 appearances for the champions so far, and will be in the squad for the Europa League showdown with Borussia Dortmund. Deila is well aware of the unique environment that Sands is now operating in, following his spell as Celtic manager that saw him deliver 2 Premiership titles. And the Norwegian has backed his former midfield star to quickly become accustomed to the demands and pressures of going for silverware at Ibrox. Delia, speaking on the Coaching Academy podcast, said, "Last year, the one role model I wanted every player at the club to look at too was James Sands. He was always first in the facility. He always did the most in the gym. He's the latest to leave. He always does everything perfect. He wants to learn and every day goes 100%. When those type of players get what they want, that's just an amazing feeling as a coach. So that's why I'm really, really happy for James. And when you leave having won the MLS Cup, then that's something I respect. But it's going to be tough for him in Scotland because he's jumping to another level. Maybe not football-wise so much better. I don't think so. But the pressure and the environment, moving away from New York and his family, and into an environment where 50% of the city hates you and 50% loves you, and that's only when you're playing well. That's a new experience for him, and at the age of 21, that's going to make him a better player. But you have to suffer sometimes in life to get what you want. But James knows how to act and to think during this period, and he just has to get better. Then he will break into the team. So we will see. But I'm still a Celtic fan, I can tell you that. Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, February 16. Rugby. Connor Boyle warns Edinburgh teammates not to show Leinster too much respect. Report by Stuart Bathgate. Edinburgh's 26-7 loss to Leinster last Friday was their worst of the season so far by some margin. That in itself came as no surprise given their previous defeats by Benetton, London Irish and the Ospreys were by merely a point, and 4 points respectively. And there were of course mitigating factors, given the stature of the opposition and the absence of so many key senior players from Mike Blair's side. Nonetheless, with another visit to Ireland on URC business coming up on Friday, no one in the Edinburgh camp is inclined to shrug their shoulders and write off that result in Dublin as just one of those things. Notwithstanding the fact that Leinster are champions and have the deepest squad in the competition, Blair's players are determined to learn from the defeat and ensure they do not repeat their errors in 2 days' time against Munster. For Connor Boyle, one of the key lessons is to avoid paying the opposition too much respect, no matter how experienced or successful they may be. He says, "We probably gave them too much respect from a physical side of things. It took us 30 minutes or so before we realised we could go toe-to-toe with them. The headline this week for Munster is we've got to dominate the collisions. We've got the players to do that. It's just about going out there and playing to our capabilities." One man who did play to his capabilities in the Edinburgh ranks against Leinster was Emiliano Boffelli, who cut through the home defence as if they were not there, en route to scoring his team's only try. The Argentine international has always shown a real confidence in his own abilities since joining the capital club late last year, and Boyle feels sure that he can inspire the less experienced players with his example. He says, "When you've got world-class players like Emiliano who can light a game up like that, it's just about trying to get them opportunities to get their hands on the ball as much as they can. Going into Munster, it's about having confidence in ourselves and our game plan. We have to impose our game plan on them, rather than them imposing their game plan on us." Blair hopes to get some Scotland squad members back for Friday night, as the Six Nations has a fallow week, but the ones who do return will predominantly be from head coach Gregor Townsend's wider squad of 39, rather than from the core of players who have seen service against England and Wales over the last 2 weekends. Centre Mark Bennett and scrum half Ben Vallacott are among those who could do with some game time after sitting out the Calcutta Cup match and the game in Cardiff, while it will be interesting to see if Townsend decides that standoff Blair Kinghorn also needs a run-out after having minimal involvement in those games. In the pack, however, it looks likely that Edinburgh will again be denied the services of Pierre Schoolman, Stuart McInally, Willem Nel, Grant Gilchrist and Hamish Watson, while of course Jamie Ritchie is now on the injury list. In other words, the responsibility for taking Munster up front will fall on the shoulders of players such as 21-year-old Boyle, who has every intention of taking his chance and proving himself worthy of an extended run in the team. The former Scotland under-20 captain added, "Those last couple of games, and the games we've got coming up, have been an unbelievable opportunity for me. I've been lucky with the amount of boys who've been selected for Scotland, and unfortunately, there have been injuries too. I don't think I had a run of 2 or 3 games for a few years now, so just being able to build some form and get fitness in my legs has been amazing for me as a young player. Just fitting into the system we're playing gives me the experience to play every week. It's big games too. Leinster, Munster and Glasgow coming up. This is what you aspire to do and play against the best. And it lets me improve my own game too." Report by Stuart Bathgate. Evening Times Sport, February 16. Van Bronckhorst opens up on special Gio Reyna relationship. Report by Chris Jack. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst admits it will be a very special moment when he is reunited with Gio Reyna at the Westfalenstadion. The American midfielder could line up against Rangers as the champions aim to overcome German giants Borussia Dortmund and give themselves a shot at booking their place in the next round of the Europa League this term. Reyna is the son of former Ibrox star Claudio Reyna and is named after the current Light Blues boss after the players struck up a close friendship during their successful time together in Glasgow. The 19-year-old has gone on to become one of the most promising young talents in the game and seems destined for a glittering career with club and country. And Van Bronckhorst knows he will be determined to inspire Marco Rose's side to victory over Rangers, as Reyna Jr. is reunited with a figure that has played a key role in his development over the years. Van Bronckhorst said, "I played with his father Claudio and I am good friends with the whole family for many years. Gio I know from the day he was born, so I have a special relationship with him as a friend, but also as a player. He came to Holland to train with our youth academy at Feyenoord, so he was in our house and we were trying to help him to be the player that he is now. We have always kept in contact and seen each other at least once a year. It is a special bond I have with the Reyna family, and it will be special for both of us to play against each other. Hopefully it is a good game. The competitors that we are, we both want to win. It will be a very special moment." Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, February 10. Rangers dealt major injury blow over Yanis Hagi. Report by Mark Walker. New Romania manager Edi Lordonscu has revealed Rangers star Yanis Hagi will struggle to be fit for the start of next season after knee injury. Hagi suffered the injury during his side's 4-0 win over Stirling Albion in the Scottish Cup and underwent surgery in the week after the game. He has been ruled out for the remainder of the season, but the Romanian boss believes he could be out for up to 6 months after speaking to him this week, which means he could potentially be missing until the middle of August, well after the new campaign has kicked off. The Romania manager said, "I spoke to him twice, and he may be unavailable for 5 to 6 months. It's very unfortunate for him. I don't want to put pressure on him to rush back, but of course we need our best players for Romania. It is very unfortunate because Yanis was going through a really good period in his career. He had started to really prove he could do it. I have even spoken to his father about his injury. I want to support Yanis as much as I can. I have assured him I will be there for him when he is ready, and we trust him to come back stronger. I told him to take all the time he needs. Even if he doesn't play immediately, he will be back in my squad. He is resigned to being out for some time, but he is very confident he will be back stronger. He's been good because it hasn't been easy for him with this setback. Look, there are 2 types of pressure, constructive and destructive, and I have chosen to use the first one. It is destructive to compare his name with the players of the past. We have all been guilty in Romania of falling into this trap of comparisons, and I think we would only harm him by doing that. I know he can't stand it when people compare him with the past. That's why I believe that our current group of players can make their own names. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, February 10. Scots curler Bruce Mowat bounces back from mixed doubles disappointment with win. Report by Tom Harrell. Bruce Mowat was buzzing to bounce back from mixed doubles disappointment and begin the men's tournament by beating Italy 7-5. The European champions took a while to come to the boil in their round-robin opener and first Olympic game together, with Italian skip Joel Retornaz scoring 2 in the first end. But they soon warmed to their task with Mowat and vice-skip Grant Hardy both shooting 90% to open up with a confident victory. Said Mowat, "We are happy to get that first win because they are really good opposition. We had to grind into it. It was a wee bit of a slow start and they kind of put us on the back foot, but we stuck together and played a lot of really good shots to get back into the game." A steal in the 8th end helped Mowat, Hardy, Bobby Lammy and Hammy McMillan dictate terms down the stretch, and they laid one in the last to sweeten the scoreline. Mowat narrowly missed out on a mixed doubles medal with Jennifer Dodds, beaten in the bronze medal match by Norway. The 27-year-old clearly got a kick out of being back with his regular teammates and was delighted to put Tuesday's defeat behind him. Said Mowat, "Tuesday was a bit of a tough day, but this is the team that I've played with for 95% of my time in the last 3 years. This is the one I've always looked to and always felt that this is the one I want to win. It would have been nice to win the other one, but I just think that I wanted to turn it around and play well for the boys as well as myself. Getting back onto the ice and feeling at home with the boys again was nice. I've not really seen them for quite a while. It was really good to be making a lot of shots and having my sweepers back, which was very nice. It was a special day for Olympic debutant Lamy, the youngest member of the rink, who celebrated his 25th birthday with a victory at the Ice Cube. It's USA and Norway up next for the world silver medalists, but not before Lamy has revelled in the rest of his big day. He said, "I think that's probably up there in terms of birthday presents. That's the top one. You can't ask for much more than a win in your first Olympic game. I might hit up Pizza Hut or KFC to celebrate. We'll see." Evening Times Sport, February 10. Postecoglou baffled by Aberdeen fan incident with Joe Hart. Report by David Irvin. Joe Hart has already become a favourite amongst the Celtic support, but last night it was an Aberdeen supporter who shared his admiration for the keeper. The match at Pittodrie was momentarily halted when a fan sprinted from the stands towards Hart for a selfie before scarpering back into the crowd. The bizarre incident left both Hart and manager Ange Postecoglou baffled. The Celtic boss explained, "I think we were all baffled. It was like he had a free pass because he just wandered off and got back to his seat. Fair play to him. He's obviously got some special pass that allows him to do that." But Postecoglou insisted he's not a fan of fan incidents because of the unknown nature of intentions. However, he conceded it was harmless enough at Pittodrie. "I don't like that because I always fear that you just don't know what's coming. You don't want players to react to that or get involved. At the end of the day it was harmless enough, over exuberance. We were all a bit baffled by his entry and exit. He's obviously got some all-access pass that none of us have." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, February 10. Postecoglou hails gutsy Celtic performance. Report by Graham McGarry. Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou has praised his gutsy players for seeing off a spirited Aberdeen comeback at Pittodrie to stay top of the Premiership. Postecoglou's men looked to be cruising to victory after Jota and Matt O'Reilly goals in the first half had given them a commanding lead at the interval. The hosts hit back through Christian Ramirez and Lewis Ferguson, but Celtic dug deep and Jota came up with the winner for the second time this season at Pittodrie to stretch their unbeaten run in the league to 20 matches. Postecoglou said, "It has been a big part of our way of doing things. We obviously want to be a team who dominate the game and score goals, but at times over the last 3 or 4 months we have had to dig in. We had to do that again today. We've had 2 tough away games since the derby, and we've taken 6 points from them. For our perspective, that's a positive, but the second half showed we still have things to improve on. We dominated the game in the first half and had a couple more chances to score. You always know you're going to get a reaction, particularly away from home. We were handling it okay, but it was disappointing to lose goals from set pieces. There were no real threats for us out there, but they got one, got a reaction from the crowd, and caused us problems with another one. After that, we needed to be a bit more calm to control the game better. We still had some chances, but even then we were rushing things. Everyone was good in the first half, but in the second we had to take control of it better. It's not an easy place to come and win. It was important to come here and continue our form. We have been in good form for quite a long time and had great results for quite a long time, but we just need to keep improving our play. Of course there are going to be challenges. We have had all sorts, and we are finding ways to overcome them, which I think is a positive sign. Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, February 10. Ramsey in cryptic Rangers start hint. Report by Stuart Wilson. Aaron Ramsey has given the strongest indication yet he will start for the first time for Rangers against Annan in the Scottish Cup on Saturday. The Welsh midfielder took another step on his road back to fitness with a 15-minute cameo in the 2-0 win over Hibs at Ibrox last night. It was his second substitute appearance for the Govan side after he made his debut against Hearts on Sunday, and he took to social media platform Twitter to hint that his first start in light blue is mere days away, while also thanking the fans for playing their part in the Hibs win. Ramsey arrived on transfer deadline day from Italian giants Juventus in a deal that shocked Scottish football. He has not played since November and made the move to Scotland to recover fitness and form ahead of the World Cup in December. And he said in his Twitter, "More minutes in the legs, solid performance from the boys, another brilliant atmosphere, looking to the Scottish Cup." Report by Stuart Wilson. Evening Times Sport, February 10. Van Bronckhorst makes standards vow as Rangers see off Hibs. Report by Chris Jack. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has challenged Rangers to continue raising their standards after easing to a comfortable victory over Hibs at Ibrox. The champions followed up on the 5-0 win over Hearts on Sunday by completing an Edinburgh double that keeps them just 1 point adrift of Celtic in the Premiership. A James Tavernier penalty and strike from Alfredo Morelos were enough on the night, as Sean Maloney's side caused Rangers few problems and continued their miserable recent run. Morelos now has 16 goals to his credit this term, and Van Bronckhorst is encouraged with their attacking nous as the Light Blues continue to recover from their Old Firm horror show last midweek. Van Bronckhorst told Rangers TV, "I think we started the game very well with the penalty and other chances we created. We put a lot of pressure and energy in the game and won a lot of balls in their half, particularly the first half. The overall performance was really good. It was 2-0, but it could have been more. It was good for us because we needed the points. Of course it gives you confidence. We had to react last Sunday, which we did in a good manner. For us it was very important to continue that way of playing and the intensity we want in games. We have to raise our standards in every game. This is the level we want, and now we rest to play on Saturday again in the Cup. We know Morelos' threat in front of goal. He has scored 3 goals in the 2 games since he came back. Also, you can see we can play through him. When teams are making pressure on our defence, he is always available to connect with midfield and receive the ball. Then we can get our wingers into spaces where they can attack the defenders. Today, with Ryan Kent, the penalty came in that area. The threat we had on both sides really pleased me. Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Boxing. David Jemison excited for Turnberry bout. Report by Graham McPherson. A new venue for David Jemison to experience, but with the same long-term vision to guide him. The Scottish cruiserweight steps into the ring at the Trump Turnberry Hotel this evening, looking to stop Samo Jangarov to claim the IBO International Cruiserweight title. It is a change of scene for the East Kilbride fighter for his 9th professional contest, the headline event on a packed card that also includes Commonwealth featherweight champion Nathaniel Collins, Kieran Smith and Jordan Grant, and all broadcast live on streaming channel Fight Zone. Jemison, 7-1, enjoyed the modern surrounds of Tottenham Hotspur's new stadium in his previous fight, a second-round stoppage of Dave Preston in November, but has experienced plenty of boxing's less salubrious settings, especially during a 58-fight amateur career. He will enjoy the opulence then of Turnberry, as will his 100-strong travelling support, all dressed up in their finery. He says, "I've never been before, but it certainly beats fighting in the miners' welfare clubs and places like that. It's one of the nicer venues, Turnberry, and I'm chuffed to get this one ticked off the list. It's been a long road to this point, so I'm going to enjoy it. I've got about 100 folk coming down to watch me, so there will be some seriously rascal outfits getting put on. Everybody's been told to dress up and not dress down. If there's a night to pull out all the stops with the clothes, then it's definitely Turnberry, and I'm sure they'll make a fair bit of noise as well." At 30 years old, Jemison is in a hurry to get his career progressing, with the Swedish-based Jangarov boasting a similar record, 7-1. This is a 50-50 fight, but the sort of hurdle he believes it's vital he demonstrates that he can overcome in the hope of drawing bigger fights down the line. Added the Kynoch boxing fighter, "Everything has been bang on in my preparations for this one. I've been doing a lot of sparring and feel in great shape. This is really the culmination of a year of hard work in the gym. I've never been one to set New Year resolutions, but last year I said to myself that this was my time, and I've been in the gym 5 or 6 days a week ever since. My gaffer, Tommy, in my day job as a workshop manager, has been really helpful and accommodating with different things, which means I've been able to get wee days off here and there, and that's been a huge help. There's plenty of footage of Jangarov going about, so we've been studying that. He's got a very similar record to myself, and we're expecting a tough fight. But I've seen enough of him to know what I want to do. I punch very hard for the weight, and I've got half an hour to get my work done over 10 3-minute rounds. I'll box him nice and early to see what he's got, and then start to chop him down in the later rounds. My last fight was pretty straightforward, and it's important to get wins like that, and again in this one, if I want to achieve what I want from the game. I have signed my deal with Fight Zone, which gives me more of a platform and some security too. They're offering 3 months free just now to anyone subscribing, so I hope a lot of folk will take that up and tune in to watch me, hopefully, put on a show. His long-term goal remains to become British champion, but he will listen to manager Sam Kynoch and Fight Zone promoter Dennis Hobson and take their advice on board about the best next steps should he emerge victorious in Ayrshire this evening. He continued, Dennis and his team have a bit of a roadmap laid out for me, and it starts with me winning this IBO international title. We'll see where we go from there, but I know it's going to be a busy schedule, fighting every 2 or 3 months. That's what I'm looking for. An active fighter is a dangerous fighter, and knowing I'm going to be out regularly is only going to help me deliver better performances. The boyhood dream for me is still the British title. I'd love to lift the Lonsdale belt, and I have the right people behind me now who can make that happen. Fight Zone have clout and a bit of money behind them, so hopefully that means it isn't going to be too hard to get the right names inside the ring with me now. Report by Graham Macpherson. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Furious Hartson slaughters feeble Celtic. Report by James McLaughlin. Pundit John Hartson has given Celtic defender Greg Taylor a roasting over his defending in the UEFA Conference League defeat to Bodo Glimt. The fullback was easily beaten by Ola Solbakken in the build-up to the second Glimt goal as they coasted to a 3-1 victory. While no Celtic player hit top form on the night, it did not stop Hartson giving Taylor a battering over his feeble attempts to defend the box. He told BT Sport, O'Reilly does really well to get back in. He works back, and Celtic are then in a 2 versus 1 defensively. But Greg Taylor has got to show him down the line. He's come inside so easily, cut inside so easily. It is just so feeble from Taylor. How easy is that? Just show him down the line. His body angle is in the wrong shape for a start. He then cuts inside and it's far too easy. Pellegrino is on the back post and Juranovic switches off. And Juranovic tries to play offside when he is 3 yards in front of him. Report by James McLaughlin. Evening Times Sport, February 18. McCoist revels in Celtic loss and enjoys Rangers win. Report by Ewan Payton. Ali McCoist has been revelling in Rangers' famous win over Borussia Dortmund and Celtic's disappointing defeat to Bodo Glimt. Everyone's favourite Scottish football pundit appeared on TalkSport's breakfast show as he made an unscheduled appearance alongside Alan Brazil and Ray Parlour. His former side pulled off a stunning win in Germany as Giovanni van Bronckhorst's men came away with a 4-2 victory. Meanwhile, later in the evening, dropping down to Conference League action, Celtic were defeated at home by Bodo Glimt 3-1. McCoist has been on holiday this week, so hasn't appeared on the radio station as he usually would between Monday and Thursday. However, he could not resist the chance to gloat about his team and troll Celtic daft Brazil over his. McCoist shot back, "What a performance that was. In all seriousness, we had a wee prediction before the game, and I said I'd bite your hand off for a draw. I know they were missing Erling Haaland up front, and the tie's not over, but what a performance and result that is. Tell you what, I've been doing a bit of homework because I knew you'd want to know 1 or 2 stats. It's the first time since 1964 that a British team have scored more than 3 goals against them. See, every time the ball hit the back of the Dortmund net, I could just think about Brazil. Ali Brazil. That's what I was thinking about. Barisic should have scored earlier in the game. Rangers played, as poor as they were against Celtic 2 weeks ago in the league, they went the complete other end of the spectrum. They were fantastic. Ray, you need to do me a favour and find out. I think Celtic have still got a chance to go through, but see if they get knocked out. Is that them straight into the Eurovision Song Contest? Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Alfredo Morelos nominated for UEFA Award. Report by Aidan MacDonald. Alfredo Morelos has been nominated for the Europa League Player of the Week award after his excellent performance against Borussia Dortmund last night. The Colombian scored the second goal of the night as Rangers beat the Bundesliga giants 4-2 in Germany. The strike was the 25-year-old's 28th goal in 54 European games for the Ibrox side. It was a famous result for the Scottish champions, which now gives them a great chance of progressing to the last 16 of the competition, ahead of the return fixture next week. Fans can vote for Morelos on UEFA's official website. Report by Aidan MacDonald. Evening Times Sport, February 18. The Big Bobble Hats Triathlon is back after hiatus. Report by Esther Tarnay. A popular sporting event will return to East Dunbartonshire after a 2-year hiatus. The Big Bobble Hats GTC Bishopbriggs Triathlon will once again have beginners and experienced athletes of all ages. The event consists of a classic triathlon, including swimming, cycling and running. The previous 2 races were cancelled due to the pandemic, but organisers are happy to be back. Douglas McNaughton, the race director for the Glasgow Triathlon Club event, said, "We are delighted that we are once again able to host the triathlon. It has felt like a long wait since May 2019, and we hope that competitors will be keen to get back to racing, as keen as we are to host the event." It is organised by the Glasgow Triathlon Club, the largest in Scotland, with almost 500 members across junior and senior sections. The triathlon for seniors is a sprint distance including a 750-metre swim, 20 kilometres closed road bike ride, and 5 kilometres canal path run. Juniors swim between 200 metres and 400 metres, then cycle 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres, and run 2 kilometres or 3 kilometres, depending on their age. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Rangers win over Dortmund causes stir among German media. Report by Ewan Payton. Borussia Dortmund's loss to Rangers last night has been branded an absolute humiliation by the German media. Giovanni van Bronckhorst's men ran out 4-2 winners, stunning the Bundesliga giants. James Tavernier, Alfredo Morelos and John Lundstrom got on the scoresheet, while an own goal also helped the Scottish champions to the famous away win. And Dortmund boss Marco Rose is bearing the brunt of what was a poor result for the Europa League favourites, leaving them with it all to do in the return leg in Glasgow. A headline in daily newspaper Bild reads, "Is Marco Rose really the right one?" Bild reporter Sebastian Kolsberger fears Dortmund are facing a trophyless season. He wrote, "BVB made a fool of themselves in their own stadium against Glasgow Rangers and lost 4-2. The next cup exit can only be averted by a miracle in the second leg. It was an absolute humiliation and also a declaration of bankruptcy for coach Marco Rose. He will have to be tough on the team. Fellow outlet Kicker agreed with the criticism, who cheekily labelled Rangers a second-rate opponent. They claimed that Rose and his players were fortunate that only 10,000 fans were allowed inside the huge stadium. German sports paper Kicker agreed, saying the only reason why the crowd were not calling for Rose's head on the night was because only 10,000 fans were allowed in. Kicker journalist Patrick Kleinman reckoned Dortmund got what they deserved. He said the 5 goals conceded in the last home game against Leverkusen were followed by 4 on Thursday, with Rangers doing little more than acting together and exploiting the mistakes offered. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Ryan Kent given rave review. Report by Stuart Wilson. Pundit Owen Hargreaves reckons Borussia Dortmund's players would not have known much about Ryan Kent before last night's match, but will certainly have been discussing him in the dressing room after the game. The winger used his dancing feet to mesmerise the German defence before cutting back expertly for John Lundstram to crash home a gorgeous third goal in their 4-2 win for Rangers. Hargreaves feels the winger is a special player who reminds him of former Bayern teammate and French international Franck Ribéry. Hargreaves told BT Sport, "I thought Kent was absolutely brilliant. In a way it almost looked like he was Franck Ribéry tearing through Borussia Dortmund, the way he was dribbling, in the way that he used to do that for Bayern Munich with his control and quality. It was exceptional play to set up John Lundstram for Rangers' third goal. Running at players at pace, I think, is Kent's greatest attribute. He shocked everyone there. The Dortmund players probably didn't know much about him before the game, but you can guarantee that afterwards in the dressing room, every one of them would have been saying, 'Who's that guy?' He played so well that I wouldn't be surprised if teams from the Bundesliga or teams from the Premier League are looking at him. That is a performance that you have to look at and think, wow, that is a special player when he's in possession and running at people. And he caused so many issues for Borussia Dortmund. At the next goal, it's great pressure from Ryan Kent to force the turnover, and Zagadou, who probably had the worst performance of his professional career, turns it into his own goal. Report by Stuart Wilson. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Rangers boost coefficient as Celtic loss leaves top 10 battle alive. By Ewan Payton. Scotland remain on course to gain an automatic Champions League spot next season, but the coefficient chase is still very much alive from nearby nations. Rangers' stunning win against Borussia Dortmund last night has helped to strengthen Scotland's score in the coefficient table. Despite Celtic losing at home to Bodo Glimt, the victory from Giovanni van Bronckhorst's men has pushed Scotland up to 9th in the UEFA rankings. This means that if Scotland can maintain this spot by the end of the current campaign, then the 2022-23 Premiership winners will be guaranteed a spot in the Champions League group stages. But there's still plenty of work yet to be done by Rangers and Celtic if this is to be achieved. Scotland began the campaign 11th in the rankings. This season's title winners have a great chance of going into the Champions League group stage next season, with that place only denied if the winners of this season's tournament have not missed out on a place via their domestic league. This will pot the Premiership winners around £35 million in additional revenue from European football's top competition. The real deal, however, remains a spot in the top 10 of the coefficient rankings, as that offers an automatic spot regardless of any other factors. There are 24 direct qualification places for the Champions League. The league winners from the top 10 countries by coefficient, the runners-up from the nations ranked 1 to 6, and the third and fourth teams from Europe's top 4 leagues. A further 2 places are reserved for the winners of the Champions League and the Europa League, unless they've already qualified, in which case the place goes to the champions from the 11th ranked nation for the former, and the third place from the 5th ranked for the latter, which is what could benefit Scotland's top-flight winners this year. A win equates to 2 points in the coefficient, with 1 point handed out for a draw. These numbers are divided by the number of teams that entered UEFA's 3 tournaments at the beginning of the season. This means Rangers' win in Dortmund added 0.4 points to Scotland's coefficient score. This was enough for Scotland to jump above Russia into 9th spot. The top 10 place is far from certain though, with Serbia still going strong in the 11th place. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Aberdeen granted permission to speak to Jim Goodwin. Report by Ewan Payton. St Mirren have granted Jim Goodwin permission to speak to Aberdeen about their vacant managerial position. The Dons are on the hunt for a new gaffer after sacking Stephen Glass last Sunday. The North East club are currently 9th in the Premiership and out of the Scottish Cup following the defeat to Motherwell last weekend, which proved to be the final nail in the coffin for Glass. They had been linked with a move for Buddy's boss Goodwin earlier this week. However, it is now confirmed by both clubs that talks between Aberdeen and the Irishman are underway. An Aberdeen statement reads, "The club confirms it has been given permission by St Mirren to talk to its manager Jim Goodwin regarding the vacant managerial position. We will make a formal announcement when the process to secure a new manager is complete." A St Mirren spokesperson added, "St Mirren Football Club can confirm that we have been approached by Aberdeen to speak to manager Jim Goodwin in relation to their managerial vacancy." Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 18. Chris Sutton calls for perspective after Celtic defeat. Report by David Irvin. Chris Sutton has called for a bit of perspective in the aftermath of Celtic's disappointing Europa Conference League loss to Bodo Glimt. Ange Postecoglou's men were hoping to secure a lead going into next week's return leg in Norway, but find themselves with a mountain to climb. Celtic go into the match on the back of a 3-1 loss at Parkhead, as Hoops stars failed to impress in the playoff round first leg clash. But Sutton has suggested some perspective is needed after the loss, as he insisted Postecoglou's side have come a long way this season. However, he also branded the result a good reminder that there is much improvement ahead for the Celtic side. Posting on Twitter, Sutton wrote, "Bodo Glimt, superb and deserved the win. Well done to them. Celtic, too many players not at the level and a disappointing display, but maybe a bit of perspective needed. The team have come a long way this season. A good reminder that there is much work still to be done." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, February 21. Ofcom investigation into sectarian abuse of Chris Boyd dropped. Report by David Irvin. An Ofcom investigation into sectarian abuse targeting Chris Boyd during live coverage of a match between Dundee United and Celtic has been dropped. Sky Sports had been forced into an on-air apology during the broadcast in December, after Boyd, who was working as a pundit, was targeted by chants. It appeared a small section of the Celtic supporter were chanting towards Boyd and pointing to the former Rangers striker on the gantry. At the time, presenter Mark Benstead said, "Apologies if you can pick up any bad language behind us at the moment." Boyd also commented on the abuse as he shrugged off the sectarian chants and said, "It is nice to see my supporters club are in today. I am really enjoying it. I am causing them more problems right now than when I played. They never used to sing about me when I played against them." Now the Scottish Sun report that an investigation into the chants heard on the broadcast has been dropped by regulator Ofcom. 3 people had complained about the offensive language heard on the broadcast, but Ofcom ruled that the complaints did not raise issues warranting investigation. An Ofcom statement to the Scottish Sun read, "After careful assessment, Ofcom has decided not to pursue the complaints because they did not raise issues warranting investigation." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, February 21. Emotional Eve Muirhead pays tribute to team after finally winning Olympic gold. Report by James Toney. Eve Muirhead likes to bemoan those damned curling gods, but she admitted someone upstairs was finally looking benevolently down on her, because there were certainly plenty of reasons to dub this against the odds gold medal victory as the Myra curl on ice, with very few seasoned observers giving her a chance on arrival in Beijing. Muirhead and her rink of Vicky Wright, Jennifer Dodds and Hayley Duff produced a flawless final performance to claim Team GB's first gold just 8 hours before the closing ceremony. In sport, timing is everything. There was no Stone of Destiny, the fabled rock that Rona Martin delivered in Salt Lake City to win Team GB's last curling gold 20 years ago. This was a relentless grinding performance against Japan, a one-sided clash secured with an end to spare. Muirhead's tactics were judged to perfection, her team's accuracy unerring in their 10-3 triumph. "This is a moment I dreamed of as a young child," said Muirhead, who's aged 31, and who had lost in 2 Olympic semi-finals, but won bronze in 2014. "To stand on the podium and get that gold medal round your neck is a moment I'll never forget. It was emotional, but I managed to hold it in until the flag was getting raised. I've been close many times, but I just haven't been over the line, and this was the one gold medal missing from the collection. I'm just so proud of this team. The girls have helped me become a better curler, but they've also helped me become a better person. It's a dream come true. For the rest of the girls as well, it's been a journey to get here, to say the least. To come out on top and show our fight, it showed how strong we are. 2 decades ago, it was Martin's team of Ayrshire housewives that secured gold, but Muirhead leads a group of full-time professionals, supported by an investment of over £6 million. It is cash that has reaped a superb return on investment this weekend, with this gold added to Bruce Mowatt's silver in the men's event. Curling did indeed come home and save the blushes of Team GB, who could have been looking at their first games without a medal since 1992. However, the path to this moment has been far from straightforward. Muirhead admitted she nearly quit after an 8th place finish at the World Championships last year, which meant she needed to come through a stressful qualifying competition. She won the European title before COVID hit her squad, several members being forced into quarantine with just days before their last chance to make the plane to Beijing. A further false positive made life more difficult, and then came a defeat to curling minnows Turkey. But Muirhead likes nothing more than a tight spot, and won a string of games to earn her slot. She won 5 and lost 4 in the round-robin stages, advancing to the knockout by just 10 centimetres via a complicated formula known as the draw shot challenge. And it did not end there. In the semi-finals against Sweden, they found themselves 4 down after the first end, coach David Murdoch admitting he then thought their hopes of winning were less than 10%. Said Muirhead, "Throughout this, we have been up against adversity, but it's an Olympic Games. It's not meant to be easy. I had a very tough summer after what happened at the World Championships, and then the pandemic and lockdown. I really wanted to throw the shoes in the cupboard for good. I guess all good things eventually happen, but this is a very different feeling to 4 years ago. Coming fourth in Pyeongchang and losing that bronze medal match, it took me a long time to get over. I still think about the shot every day. Hopefully it'll be out of my mind now." It's been a roller coaster journey. There have been ups and downs, and then we had all the issues with COVID. I had such great support, and these girls inspired me to come back out fighting. I knew what we could achieve if we brought our A game. Report by James Toney. Evening Times Sport, February 21. Postecoglou concerned about Celtic set play weakness. Report by Graham McGarry. Ange Postecoglou says Georgios Giacomakis is finally ready to accept the burden of scoring goals for Celtic after the Greek striker's hat-trick sealed a vital 3 points in a hard-fought encounter against Dundee. The visitors went ahead at Celtic Park before a Giacomakis double looked to have swung the game in Celtic's favour, only for Mark McGee's men to again level the match. Giacomakis came up with the late winner though, to move Postecoglou's side 3 points clear at the top of the Premiership, and the Celtic manager was delighted for his forward after a difficult start to life in Scotland. Said Postecoglou, "If you play as a striker at this club, you've got to carry the burden of being goal scorer. It's as simple as that. There is no shying away from it. Everyone we have had in that position this year has delivered goals, and he does as well. In games like today, when we are not going to find a lot of space, you need somebody with presence in the box to finish off our good deliveries. He missed a couple, but scored 3 good goals. He has been going well for us. He hasn't got the reward of goals, which has been a bit unlucky. It is why I brought him to the club. The way a lot of opposition set up against us, with a lot of bodies in the box, you need presence in there. It's not as if we have a lot of space to run into. I know that's where his strengths lie, and it is just a matter of him gaining a little bit of confidence, which he has. I think he has been really good for us in the last few weeks. For all strikers, goals are important, and today he was hugely important for us. With so many bodies in the box, he was able to find the space to score the goals. Postecoglou is hoping that Giakoumakis' rich vein of recent form — he has scored 6 of his 7 goals for the club since the winter break — is a sign that he may be able to contribute even more to the cause in the run-in to the end of the season. He said, "There is more to come from all of them. I know people love having conclusions to things, but this team is newly built. All these guys are learning as we go along. Every experience is something unique for them. For 2 or 3 of them, Thursday night was their first European game. They are going to be better players after that, because we will keep exposing them. For Georgios, in his pre-season, he was injured most of the time. He has only really got going since the break. He is in the first couple of months of his Celtic career, so of course there is more to come from him." While delighted with the contribution of Giakoumakis to the win over Dundee, Postecoglou admitted that he was far from happy with the concession of another 2 goals to set plays, with his side also conceding twice from set pieces at Aberdeen recently. He said, "It is a concern. When we are dominating a game so much, defending so well, and keeping them away from goal. Joe Hart didn't have a save to make. I don't think he even touched the ball with his hands. If they can just lob balls into the box and we concede, that's not good. It's something we need to address. Have a little more conviction in our box, the same way we do in the opposition box. There are definitely lessons in there, but that's part of our continual improvement as a team. There are still areas we need to get better at, and that's one of them." Report by Graham McGarry.
And that was this week's Glasgow Times Sport podcast, normally recorded in our studio at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre, currently recorded from our volunteers' homes with the publisher's kind permission. Thanks for listening.